So this segment in talking about the Call of Ktulu is all about arpeggios. So if you play these three passages, fingerstyle, it's such a great opportunity to warm up your arpeggio technique or study your arpeggio technique. I'm going to pick out maybe one or two different things in each different passage that you can kind of focus on just to get you started, because playing this type of music on fingerstyle guitar is all about exploring what you can find, playing it on a different instrument. To me, the electric guitar is a different instrument than the fingerstyle guitar. So when we play music written for a different instrument, right, we're going to get these challenges that maybe we didn't see coming. And it's a great opportunity to discover things about your technique and about how you solve problems. So let's start with this intro passage. So this passage has always given me fits. When I was a teenager, I never really could learn to play it. I would just kind of fake my way through it, but I couldn't get all the notes to ring. And then, so if this passage gives you trouble, let me know so I don't feel like the only one. It's a difficult passage. So playing these fingerstyle, you've got your basic setup here. Thumb on the fourth string, index on third, middle on second, and your ring finger on the first string. So you just pluck whatever string you need, and then if you have to cross strings, you just make a decision, right? Something I want to point out here that I found really interesting is this is actually a good exercise to practice hinge barring. So you're probably familiar with a bar chord, right? Where you take your first finger and you lay it across, more than one string essentially. Probably not all six, but got like your standard major bar chord there, or minor, or whatever chord that you're trying to build, right? Hinge barring is when you use a similar technique, but you don't use the whole finger. You just use like the end of it. You might do something like this. Okay, so you can see there's space in between the finger and the strings on the lower strings, and I'm only catching that. Here in this instance is the first and second string. Call it a hinge bar. It can save you energy if maybe like your next move is a bar chord, or sometimes you can just slip it into places and it just feels easier. If you have to do something where you curl your first finger back, sometimes it can just feel easier to just do this. It's kind of amazing. Hence the fact I'm talking about how this technique can make things seem easier. Okay. Actually insert this technique for this introduction to the Call of Ktulu, and it ends up working out really well. Arguably, for my left hand, maybe even better than not doing it. And you'll notice in the beginning of the video, and when I've used this section in medleys, I don't do the hinge bar. And the reason was I was far enough along that by the time I discovered the hinge bar, it still felt pretty new, and I was worried that, I'm kind of ashamed to say, I was worried that it would cause me to make too many mistakes. Oh no. Then if I make too many mistakes, the guitar police would come find me at my house and they'd take all my guitars away, You know how that goes. So I didn't want that to happen, so I didn't end up using it. So, but when you play it like this, it feels very crammed to me. This finger is like crammed, doing this little mini bar. All you have to do to insert the hinge bar is keep your other finger pattern the exact same, and anytime you use the first finger, just extend your bar finger and just catch the first string or the first two strings sometimes. You probably want to have it down on the first two strings at all times, I guess. And just hinge bar it. Even if you are like me and you're not probably going to play it this way, if you perform this piece, it's a great opportunity to work on hinge bars. That's the way I've been using it. And who knows, maybe one day you played enough times where you're like, yeah, that's the way I'm going to play it. Okay, so very interesting opportunity there to work on hinge bars, and this technique, I can tell you, it does come in handy for you, definitely. It gives me a little more strength on the other side of my hand, it feels like, for these fingers when they're kind of coming back in. It makes that a little bit easier. This way, it feels like they're fighting against that motion a little bit more. So hinge bars. Another obvious thing I point out about this intro is, so when you play arpeggios, you've got a bunch of notes that are the same rhythmic value. I don't know what these are. The 16th notes, I guess. So you've got however many 16th notes in a row. Just measures and measures of straight 16th notes. Usually when I think about phrasing arpeggios, I want that chunk of notes that's continuously the same rhythmic value, I want it to sound like anything but a long-running group of the same note value. Does that make sense? I want it to sound anything but this. Same. Just like, how boring is that? Okay, very boring. Maybe it would be beneficial to do it as an exercise to cultivate a certain technique or sound, certainly. But thinking about playing it musically, what are you missing there? You're missing mainly dynamics. So that time I played it with very little alternation to the timing. Maybe I couldn't help to do it here and there. But basically, the only thing that was added was dynamics. And it changes it from sounding like same all day long to a living, breathing musical phrase, right? Like dynamics are just vitally important. So this is a fantastic opportunity to practice dynamics, because you've got these harmonies that are growing and then they go back. Okay, great opportunity to do that, to flip it around on its head, do it backwards, whatever you like. But it sounds very basic, kind of too good to be true, but it's a great opportunity to practice dynamics. Okay, let's go on to the next section. Let's see. This. Okay, so this, if you're playing it with a pick, it's no big deal, okay? When you do a lot of classical guitar fingerstyle stuff, you get used to using these four fingers in a group. I mean, because it works so well. It makes so much sense. So a lot of arpeggio stuff you'll find works out in a group like that, okay? Or if it's even in a different group, like this is a group of three, but it's still, it feels nice because it works out well in your hand, okay? If you're doing backwards, okay? Maybe that works out because it's a group of three here. If it's not, it's okay. Where's the group of five? Now I'm not going to use my pinky, I'm not against it, but I just can't use it in arpeggios very well. Maybe one day, but right now I don't use it. So where's the group of five? And I got four fingers to use, but I have to make a group of 5 strings. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And not only do we have that, it'd be one thing if we were just doing a chord, but we got to come back. This is actually really tricky when it comes to fingerstyle, right? And you want it to sound clean and good. You don't want it to sound you don't want it to sound sloppy and uneven. You want to be able to control it, okay? So a group of 5, string grouping of 5, is really good practice for problem solving when it comes to arpeggio fingerings, okay? So how are you going to do that? Well, I'll give you 2 different options, just the ones that kind of came to me off the top of my head, and then maybe 2.5 options, and then you can go from there. So option number 1, this is my favorite option. P, I, M, A, cross over with I on the first string, and then come back with A, M. And then from there, your hand is still set up for thumb to play on the 5th string. So again, that's P, I, M, A, I, A, M. Excuse me. Maybe I should say that again. P, I, M, A, I, A, M. P, P, I, M, A, I, A, M, I, P. So what ends up happening is you get A on 2nd string and I on 1st string. You get this crossing over there going on. A couple things I really like about this. It feels pretty easy. I mean, I've been working on this technique for a little while, so it feels good in my hand because it doesn't feel like the hand is displaced and has to jump too much. You just do one string of crossing, and then immediately I'm back to this very stable position. So it minimizes the chance that I'm going to miss a note. Another thing I like about it is it keeps the thumb only playing this lower voice, which I would definitely think about if you're going to play this passage, regardless of what instrument or technique. It's a cool bass line, creepy sounding bass line. So because the thumb is isolated there, maybe it might lend itself to, separate that line from the rest of the arpeggio. I mean, this is a neat chord, but this almost sounds pretty without that low bass line. Add the bass note. Well, now it sounds creepy as hell. Okay, the bass line here is really important. So it isolates the thumb playing that bass line. So you can really bring it out and shape it the way that you want. So that's my favorite option. Maybe option like 1A is, instead of crossing with I, some people will find it more comfortable to cross with M. And I do like playing it this way too. This is like, what side of the bed do I get up on? Mentally, because physically, I always get up on the same side of the bed. But one day it will feel better to cross with I. The next day it will feel better to cross with M. I don't know why. But so option like 1A and 1B or 1.5 or whatever. The second one would be P-I-M-A-M-A-M. P-I-M-A-M-A-M-I. So try both of those. You're either going to cross with I or you're going to cross with M. Okay. Another good option for a 5-string arpeggio passage is to just play 2 strings in a row with your thumb. So here, instead of having A on the 2nd string, I move it up to the 1st string, and then M's on the 2nd string and I's on the 3rd string. Now the thumb is going to play strings 5 and 4. And this is it feels like a very secure way to play it in my hand, and I think it's a good solution. Probably anytime you see a 5-string arpeggio, if it's a faster passage, that gets a little bit tricky depending on how you want it to sound. If you want it to sound super separated, and no kind of blurred strings, then you might want to do like a crossing. But it works really well here. And if you just really don't like the crossing or it's not comfortable yet, I think this is a good solution. Okay. The reason why I didn't choose this one when recording this piece was not that big of a deal. It's just a picky thing. I really wanted to isolate this bass line. Okay. Like, I really get into this stuff. Okay, I think it's really important. So if you use this fingering, you've got the thumb playing the bass line and the first note of the arpeggio. It's not a big deal, but I really liked having the thumb be separated and then only the fingers, I, M, and A, are playing the arpeggio notes. it helps me mentally create the hierarchy of that passage. And if it helps me mentally, it's gonna come out physically. More of what I'm trying to do. So to me, it was a clear decision. It's kind of nitpicky, but it's two good options for you. But feel free to try other options there. Okay, you got 5 strings to cross. How are you gonna get there? What are you gonna do? It'd be a good exercise to do it all thumb. See if you can separate the voices. That might be a good exercise, right? Okay, now on to this third passage. Okay, so I do want to mention when you play this, don't miss this line. Kind of hidden in there. Very cool. Okay. Whenever you find simple lines like that in a progression, I would bring them out, or at least be aware of them and use them for something. So to me, that drives this whole passage. Is that you hear that note moving, and the other notes kind of they don't really move around it, but their purpose is to serve this line, if you know what I mean. And then it sounds like an interesting passage instead of a bunch of notes where they're kind of, there's no hierarchy. And it can help drive your dynamics too, right? This is another great opportunity to use dynamics. What I want to mention here is this is like a very basic plucking hand setup arpeggio practice. Thumb on the 4th string, index on 3, M on 2, and your A or ring finger on 1. Okay. I do this simple setup. This is usually how I start with arpeggios each day. Simplest setup. This is what the simplest setup feels like for my hand. Okay. And then I'll start moving the thumb around, maybe the fingers, but I start with this pattern, okay? Usually start with chords, actually. That kind of starts to sound like another piece. What piece is that? Can't quite think of it. Can it be written by the same guy? Surely not. Surely not. I don't know what I'm doing there. But anyway, I digress. This is a great opportunity to study your basic arpeggio. To warm up, you can play each passage multiple times. It gives your fretboard hand something to do, but it's not insanely complicated. Okay. Oops, there we go, playing that other song again that I can't remember. So it's good for that. Also, if you want to start, if you want to build speed here, change the pattern. Okay, I'll get to that in a minute. Also, isolating different fingers. Okay, the index is an obvious choice. Really good work. Let's just pick another one. How about A? Sounds a little weird, but kind of cool. Or maybe even thumb. Short thumb, something like that, okay? And then I would encourage anybody who wants to study arpeggios to start changing your finger pattern. So we have P, I, M, A. Let's start with simple change. Let's just reverse it. A, M, I, P. Just for study. I know it's not the song. Now we're looking at, kind of taking this apart a little bit, studying it. Okay. Let's do something random. How about M, P, I, A? I just said that randomly. M, P, I, A. I-M-P-A. I-M-P-A. Interesting, okay? You could even do, if you want to do chords like we mentioned, you can do that. You could even start breaking the chords apart. Like a combination that's difficult for me that comes up every once in a while is doing a chord with P-I-M and then playing a note with A. P-I-M together and then A. P-I-M, A. So let's try it. And if you want to get weird with it, you could, okay? Let's pretend that you want to practice alzapua. It's a thumb technique from flamenco guitarists. Oh man, there we go, playing that song again. It's almost as if I was going to play it in a different video. That's weird. Anyway, as you can see, the opportunities are endless, okay? Oh, let me give you one more, and then I'll quit giving you some. Rasguianos. If you're just like warming up and you want to do one finger. Song. I'm just totally drawing a blank. It's almost as if that guy used to be in Metallica. Weird. Anyway, so whatever you are in the mood for, okay? You can take a passage that you love, just because you love the music, you can apply it to your fingerstyle guitar work, and just go nuts with it. Experimentation is so important when you're learning about an instrument. You know, that's how you learn from your technique. So that's how you build technique. So take a passage like this. If you sat down and tried different things out for 20 or 30 minutes, that would be such great work. If you did it for an hour, wow, I applaud you. Surely you found a lot of cool stuff, explored a lot of good things, and you know, kept yourself interested and motivated all along the way, which is so very important. So go nuts with this stuff. See what you can find, and let us know in the comments, you know, what you found, how you like to play it, and then we'll get our guitars out and try the same thing.